Hello, I'm Nancy, and tonight I'm here to help you wind down, drift off, and return to a time you may not have visited in years, but one your heart still remembers. We're going back to the very last day of school in 1995, before emails and smartphones, before summer schedules and digital planners. Back when all you needed was a pair of sneakers, a few dollars for candy, and the sound of that final school bell ringing. This is a story made of memories, real or imagined, soft around the edges, like old photographs curled in a shoebox. So find somewhere comfortable, loosen your shoulders, let the light fade, and if you'd like, imagine yourself in your old room again, with glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling, your favorite song stuck in your head, and a fan quietly spinning overhead. You don't have to do anything now. Just listen, and let me carry you gently back to the first magical night of summer in 1995. By the time you arrived at school that morning in June 1995, the whole building already felt different. The hallways, usually echoing with last-minute bell-chasing footsteps and locker slams, were filled with a kind of electric lightness. Nobody was really teaching, not today. The air smelled faintly of crayons, floor polish, and the leftover paper bulletin boards that were already starting to curl at the corners. Your classroom looked different too. The desks were no longer in neat rows. They'd been pushed into haphazard clusters and lopsided circles. The overhead projector had been unplugged, and the chalkboard still had faded math problems scribbled across it from earlier in the week, or maybe even the week before. The teacher sat at her desk, sipping from a travel mug with #1 teacher in faded Sharpie across the side. Her usually strict tone had been replaced by something softer, something that said, "We've made it to the last day of school." You dropped your backpack onto your chair. It's light, almost empty now, just your pencil case with those fruit-scented gel pens, a crumpled Lisa Frank folder, and your yearbook. That yearbook had been passed around like a secret note all morning. Every page was filled with doodles, bubble letters, and inside jokes like, "You're all that, and a bag of chips, and stay cool forever." You remember flipping through the autograph pages, recognizing the curly handwriting of your best friend. "Kit," she wrote, "friends till the Spice Girls break up." The classroom TV cart was already rolled into place, black straps crisscrossing the boxy set that perched on top like a king. The VCR blinked 12 o'clock, and a stack of tapes sat next to it. Fern Gully, The Sandlot, Schoolhouse Rock. The teacher let the class vote, and someone in the back shouted, "The Sandlot," which obviously won. The room dimmed slightly as the movie started, and kids sunk into their seats. Some sat on the floor, cross-legged, passing around fruit roll-ups and those mini boxes of cereal that were left over from a field trip. You had Cinnamon Toast Crunch, dry, no milk, just a handful at a time, sweet and crunchy. Some students made paper fans out of notebook pages, waving them dramatically in front of their faces as if they were about to faint from the heat. The fans only kind of worked. Someone near the windows was playing with a popsicle stick, trying to balance it on their nose. It broke in half, and they laughed so hard the teacher gave them the look, but even she couldn't help smiling. The class hamster, still sleepy in the corner cage, turned in its wheel lazily, like even it knew there wasn't much else to do today. Outside the windows, the sun was high and bright, bouncing off the chain-link fence around the schoolyard. You could hear kids from another class running relay races outside, shouting, laughing, sneakers thudding against the pavement. Your eyes wandered to the clock above the door, not because you were bored, but because you were ready. That final bell was coming, the moment of freedom, and everything after that would belong to summer. But first, you let yourself settle into the feeling, this sweet, lazy hour of nothing, the kind of moment where time slows down and memory starts paying attention. It didn't matter what your grades were, or if your binder was falling apart, or that you didn't return that one overdue library book. Not today. Today, the rules had dissolved. And in their place, a movie, a laugh, a popsicle stick sword fight, and a page in your yearbook you'd read again years later with a smile. This was the end of school ritual, beautiful in its nothingness, and absolutely unforgettable. You could feel it in your whole body, the slow crawling countdown to freedom. The classroom clock ticked louder than usual. Every student had looked up at it at least a dozen times in the last 10 minutes. You swore the second hand was stalling on purpose. It was the final stretch. June heat pressed against the windows, and your legs bounced under the desk like they had somewhere to be, because they did. At this point, no one was even pretending to pay attention. Backpacks were already half-zipped, yearbooks tucked away, last bits of gum being passed discreetly from friend to friend. The room buzzed with whispers, inside jokes, and half-suppressed grins. Even the teacher had given up and was quietly filing papers that wouldn't be touched until next September. Someone near the window leaned toward their best friend and mouthed, 5 minutes. You turned to check the clock. 2:55 p. 5 more minutes of this year. 5 more minutes until the bell. You looked around and tried to memorize the moment. The slightly crooked motivational poster about believing in yourself, the tape peeling off the corner of the whiteboard, the faint hum of the fluorescent lights that had been flickering all year. This was your home base for 10 months, and now it was about to become a ghost town. At 2:59, the room practically held its breath. You could feel the tension rising like a fizzing soda can. Everyone was perched on the edge of their seats, bags slung over shoulders, sneakers ready to bolt, and then, brrrring, the final bell rang, chairs scraped the floor, doors flew open, and the hallway erupted in noise. Laughter, cheers, locker slams, and the unmistakable squeak of rubber soles sprinting down tiled floors. Kids spilled into the hall like confetti. Some raised their arms in the air like they'd just crossed the finish line of the longest race ever. Others jumped to slap the top of the doorway as they exited. A goofy tradition repeated year after year. You stepped out into the light, blinking against the sun like you hadn't seen it in weeks. The air was thick with heat and the scent of pavement warming beneath your shoes. Someone nearby sprayed their friend with a squirt bottle. Another group was already making plans. We're biking every day. We should go to the pool next week. My mom's taking us to Canada's Wonderland. Sleepover at my house. I'll bring the Goosebumps books. The possibilities stretched out like the summer itself. Wide, open, golden. You didn't even realize how light your backpack felt, or how your shoulders had dropped, or how your whole body felt different, like it had shifted into a softer gear. As you and your friends walked home, the sun clung to your skin and your sneakers slapped the sidewalk with each step. You could hear lawn mowers starting up, ice cream trucks circling the neighborhood, and sprinklers ticking in backyards. A pair of kids were playing basketball in a driveway, one of them still wearing their school shirt. The world looked exactly the same, but you didn't. You were free. The rules had fallen away, the schedule erased. The next few months were a blank VHS tape just waiting to be recorded. You knew it wouldn't all go as planned. Someone would get grounded. Someone else would go on vacation for too long. But that didn't matter right now. What mattered was that you made it, and the summer had finally, officially begun. Once the first wave of adrenaline wore off, after the shouting, the door slapping, the triumphant sprint to freedom, the rest of the afternoon slowed into a softer rhythm. You and your friends weren't rushing anymore. There was nowhere you had to be. For the first time in months, the clock didn't matter. So you walked down the cracked sidewalks of your neighborhood, past rows of houses with bicycles tipped over in the grass and screen doors wide open to catch the breeze, the smell of hot pavement mixed with freshly cut grass, and the faint sweetness of someone's backyard BBQ. The corner store came into view like a sacred landmark, the kind of place you passed all year long, but didn't truly appreciate until summer hit. The door chimed as you stepped inside, and the instant wave of cool, artificially chilled air was heaven. You didn't need much, a few coins, a crumpled bill, just enough for a paper bag full of 5-cent candies. Sour keys, gummy worms, Coke bottles, marshmallow bananas, maybe a Chupa Chup lollipop, or a pack of Hubba Bubba that would lose its flavor in 5 minutes. But it didn't matter. You grabbed a cold drink from the fridge, probably a Clearly Canadian or a can of Orange Crush. Beads of condensation sliding down the sides. And of course, someone had to get a bag of Doritos and share exactly 3 chips before clutching the bag to their chest like a dragon guarding treasure. From there, it was anyone's guess where the day would go. Some of you headed to the nearest friend's house, the one with the cool older sibling who had a Super Nintendo or a Sega Genesis and didn't mind if you hung around. Others split off to change out of their school clothes and meet up later for a bike ride. Your house was cooler than usual, not in style, but in temperature. The windows were open, and a fan buzzed from the living room. You dropped your backpack by the door like it no longer existed. School was over. That version of you had clocked out. There was something sacred about those first few hours of summer vacation. You didn't want to waste them. You changed into shorts, probably something with neon stripes or a cartoon logo, and grabbed your bike. The streets slowly filled with kids like you. Some had water guns, others had sidewalk chalk. There were rollerblades zipping past sprinkler arcs, and kids drawing hopscotch grids with sweaty palms. Someone brought out a boombox playing Waterfalls by TLC or This Is How We Do It by Montel Jordan. Everything smelled like sunscreen and plastic and summer. At some point, a neighbor handed out Mr. Freeze pops, cutting the tops with scissors while the colors bled onto everyone's fingers. Blue raspberry tongues and red-stained lips. No one ever finished the purple one. Your watch said 5:30, but it didn't matter. Dinner would come when it came. For now, the streets were yours. You met up with friends under that one big tree, the unofficial headquarters of summer. You planned out the next week like it was a lifetime. Someone said they were getting a slip and slide. Someone else bragged that their parents bought a camcorder. The ideas came faster than the days could hold them. And while the sun sank lower, casting long shadows on the pavement, you stretched out on the lawn, hands behind your head, staring at a sky that promised endless days ahead. There were no tests to study for, no alarms to set, no permission slips to sign. Only this, a hot evening, candy wrappers in your pocket, and the simple, perfect knowledge that school was over and summer had finally, officially begun. As the sun dipped lower and the sky deepened into a soft, purplish orange, there was always that one idea that floated to the surface: the sleepover. Someone suggested it, half jokingly at first. Yo, what if we all slept over at my place tonight? My parents won't care. We'll stay up all night. That's all it took. The excitement lit up like a sparkler. A sleepover wasn't just about crashing on someone's floor. It was a ritual, a declaration that summer had officially begun. It meant pajamas packed with purpose, VHS tapes picked out with military precision, and snacks that could outlast a zombie apocalypse. You got home and pitched the idea. Your mom gave you the look, the one with one raised eyebrow, but after a little pleading and promising to brush your teeth and be polite, she gave the nod. The deal was sealed. You threw essentials into a backpack: toothbrush, Game Boy, hairbrush, deodorant you barely used, and a wrinkled pair of pajamas with Looney Tunes or Bart Simpson on them. Maybe you even tossed in your portable CD player, batteries half full, and a couple of burned CDs with Sharpie scrawled titles like Summer Jams 95. Your friend's house felt alive when you got there. The living room was already being transformed. Cushions pulled off the couch, sleeping bags rolled out. One of those massive tube TVs wheeled closer. Someone's older brother brought down a stack of movies from Blockbuster: Clueless, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, The Movie, The Sandlot, and Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. You helped set up the snack station, chips, soda cans clinking together, a full box of Dunkaroos that someone bragged about bringing. There was a giant mixing bowl of popcorn that would end up half on the carpet. A 2-liter bottle of Pepsi sat like a crown jewel. And somebody smuggled in a bag of Skittles and a tube of Pringles. It wasn't dark yet, but the curtains were drawn and lights were off. Someone lit a lava lamp, and it gave the room a weird, warm glow. The fan whirred in the background, and there was a faint sound of an old PlayStation startup tone coming from the other room. Everyone gathered in a circle on the floor. Someone pulled out a deck of cards. Others just laid back on their pillows, talking about nothing and everything. Who do you think's hotter, Nick Carter or Leonardo DiCaprio? I swear I saw a UFO last night. Did you hear that Batman Forever is already on tape? Someone's Walkman played low in the background, probably Coolio or TLC. You took turns making prank calls using the cordless phone, trying not to laugh too hard as you asked for huge ass or I'll be back. When the first movie started, someone immediately quoted every line. You watched through tired eyes, but refused to fall asleep. There was always one kid who passed out by the end of the first movie, sprawled halfway out of their sleeping bag like a starfish. The rest of you stayed up, whispering under the flickering screen. You talked about everything: weird dreams, school rumors, plans for the next day. There was a kind of honesty in those late-night hours, like the darkness gave you permission to say what you really felt. Even the goofiest kids got serious for a second. I hope we're still friends in high school. What if we had a secret base just for summer? Eventually, the energy faded. The soda went flat, the popcorn bowl was empty, and the lava lamp pulsed slow shadows on the walls. As you drifted off to sleep, surrounded by friends and the soft hum of the TV playing static after the tape ended, you knew this night would stay tucked in your memory. A quiet, glowing thing you'd carry into adulthood. Not because of what you did, but because of how it felt. Safe, silly, free. The next morning always hit different. Not because you were well rested, you weren't, but because the air felt still, like the whole world was sleeping in with you. You woke up in a jumble of blankets, someone's elbow half across your chest, and a Dorito smushed under your cheek. The TV was frozen on a fuzzy blue screen, the tape long finished, and the room smelled like a strange combo of popcorn, sweaty socks, and bubblegum shampoo. No one spoke at first. You all just lay there, blinking at the ceiling, each person doing a quiet system check. Groggy, a little dehydrated, but in no rush to be anywhere else. Eventually, someone cracked a joke, or a soda can popped open, and just like that, the sleepover rebooted into morning mode. You sat up slowly, hair wild, eyes puffy, and pulled your sleeping bag tighter around your shoulders. The house was quiet beyond the living room. Only the distant clink of dishes and the smell of toaster waffles from the kitchen gave away that someone's mom was awake. You migrated like zombies into the kitchen, where plates of Eggo waffles were stacked. Syrup pooled like gold on ceramic. There were bowls of Lucky Charms and Fruit Loops on the table, and a bottle of Sunny D already half empty. Someone's dad made instant coffee that no one but him touched, and a radio hummed low in the background, playing Kiss from a Rose or Breakfast at Tiffany's. You leaned against counters, chewing slowly, still wrapped in last night's stories. Someone started flipping through the latest issue of Teen Beat or Nintendo Power left on the counter. You argued over the best Mortal Kombat character, or whether Power Rangers was getting lame now that they added that weird ninja season. After breakfast, you wandered back into the living room and started a video game, probably Donkey Kong Country or NBA Jam. The controllers were sticky, no one cared. Half the group just watched, heads resting on pillows, while the rest took turns battling through pixelated levels with the kind of skill that only comes from hundreds of hours of summer practice. Eventually, people started getting picked up. You heard screen doors open, the sound of minivans rumbling in driveways. Moms with sunglasses and dads in cargo shorts came in with keys in hand, saying thank you and exchanging weekend plans. One by one, your crew disappeared, leaving only candy wrappers, a half-empty chip bag, and the echoes of overnight laughter. You were always one of the last to leave. You liked the feeling, that quiet stillness, like the party was winding down, but not quite over. You helped fold blankets, shoved a few couch cushions back into place, and dragged your backpack to the door, heavy with forgotten snacks and sleep-deprived memories. Back at home, your own bed felt like a cloud. You flopped onto it in your same sleepover clothes and just lay there, staring at the ceiling fan spinning lazily. The day stretched ahead of you like an open road. There were no math tests, no bells, just the knowledge that this was summer now. This was your new routine. You might nap, you might call your friend on the house phone later. You might ride your bike to the pool or flip through your CD binder for the perfect summer track to blast through your knockoff Walkman. Whatever happened, you knew this feeling, that lingering glow of a sleepover, the taste of maple syrup and Mountain Dew still on your tongue, would last a while, and you'd be back again, maybe not to the same living room or the same crew, but somewhere, sometime this summer, you'd do it all over again. Later that day, when the energy from the sleepover had finally burned off and the house was still again, you found yourself back in your own room. Door cracked just enough to let in the hallway light, a fan gently rotating on your dresser. You laid on your stomach, across your bed, chin resting on folded arms, flipping lazily through the pages of a Goosebumps book, the kind with the bumpy logo that glowed in the dark. You weren't even following the story anymore. Your mind wandered between the lines, still buzzing with images of pillow fights, junk food, and whispered secrets. Beside you, a teen beat magazine lay open, filled with glossy spreads of Jonathan Taylor Thomas, Devon Sawa, and the Backstreet Boys. You paused to read an interview with Alicia Silverstone, and then another one about how to decode your crush's body language. You didn't fully get it. You didn't need to. It was just part of the vibe, the sleepover mindset. Your Lisa Frank notebook sat nearby, a mess of neon colors and sparkly stickers. You scribbled in it aimlessly, half diary, half doodle page, some hearts, some random lyrics, a dream you had about being on Legends of the Hidden Temple and winning a bike. Outside, the sun was dipping lower, casting a soft orange hue across your room, but you weren't ready to leave the cocoon just yet. The noise of the world, the chores, the grown-up voices, the reality, all faded behind your closed door. You rolled onto your back, letting your hand trail across your plush comforter. Your stuffed animal, the same one you'd had since 3rd grade, was tucked beside your pillow. You gave it a little squeeze, more out of habit than need. Your mind drifted again, this time to all the things you still wanted to do before school started back up. Water parks, renting movies from Blockbuster, begging your parents to take you to Canada's Wonderland, eating popsicles on the porch, running through sprinklers in your jelly sandals, and of course, planning the next sleepover, the next night of too much sugar, too much laughter, and not enough sleep. It was like your brain had shifted into summer mode. No stress, no rush, just open space and endless possibilities. Maybe you'd watch Clueless again tonight. Maybe you'd try to prank call your friend from the rotary phone in the hallway. Or maybe you'd just lie here a while longer, letting the sounds of summer, lawnmowers, cicadas, the low rumble of a distant car, lull you into that peaceful half-sleep that only comes when there's absolutely nothing else you have to do. And even though your parents would probably tell you to go to bed soon, you weren't worried. Tomorrow was summer. Tomorrow had no alarm clock. Tomorrow was yours. For now, you were full of waffles and orange soda and memories. Your body still buzzing from staying up too late. Your mind soft and wide open. You were exactly where you needed to be. Not a kid anymore, not quite a teenager, just in between, living inside the beautiful, glowing pause that was summer vacation in 1995. There's something about the first weekend of summer that feels bigger than all the others. You wake up to sunlight slipping through your blinds, already warm, already full of possibility. The clock says 8:47, but it doesn't matter. You don't need to be anywhere. There's no bus to catch, no spelling test to cram for, no cafeteria pizza to dread. You roll over and let your arm dangle off the side of the bed, fingertips brushing the carpet. The radio alarm clock, that red glowing block on your nightstand, hums quietly, waiting to be turned on. But for now, you just lie there, because you can. The house is still quiet. Your parents are probably still asleep. You wander into the kitchen in your oversized Looney Tunes tee and fuzzy socks, pouring a bowl of Reese Puffs like it's your birthright. The cereal crunches in your mouth, a little louder in the morning stillness. Out the window, the trees are green in that deep summer way, full and a little wild. The air feels slower, like the whole world took a breath after the final bell and exhaled into this. You wander back to your room, where your summer to-do list lives on a piece of neon cardstock taped to the wall. Finish your sticker album, beat the final boss in Sonic the Hedgehog. Sleep over at Jesse's at least twice. Try a root beer float, finally. Learn the Macarena properly, and suddenly the days ahead feel endless. Maybe today you'll bike to the corner store and spend your allowance on 5-cent candies and a bottle of Clearly Canadian. Or head to the park with your boombox and a mixtape you made off the radio, hoping your friends will show up one by one like they always do. You grab your CD case and pop in Jagged Little Pill, lying back on your beanbag chair as Alanis wails into your headphones. You stare at the ceiling and feel your body buzzing with that weird combination of freedom and boredom that only exists when school's out. You'll probably build a fort in the basement later, or dig out the super soakers and declare war on your neighbor's kids. You'll eat freezies until your lips turn blue and your teeth ache. You'll argue over which Goosebumps book was scariest, or which Spice Girl you'd be. You'll count down the days until your family road trip, half excited, half dreading sharing the back seat with your sibling. You'll get sunburned. You'll stay up too late. You'll fall asleep to the sound of crickets and ceiling fans and VHS static. Because this is what you waited all year for. Not just a break from school, but a break from structure. From early alarms and assigned seating and worksheets that made your eyes blur. This is the time where you make up your own rules. Where time stretches like melted taffy and the biggest decision is whether to watch the Goonies again or build a ramp for your bike. You're not thinking about September, or middle school, or report cards. You're thinking about pool days, sleepovers, fireworks, the jingle of the ice cream truck that always turns the corner, just when you think it won't. This summer, this one right here, is going to be the best one yet. You can feel it in the warm breeze, in the unopened popsicle box, in the promise of 1,000 small adventures waiting just beyond your driveway. And as the day unfolds, as the sun climbs higher and your flip-flops slap against the pavement, you carry that feeling with you, that everything is possible, that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. That summer has only just begun. The windows are open, the school year is over, and the rest of the summer, that belongs to you now. You've made it through the countdowns, the backpacks stuffed with crumpled worksheets and half-dried glue sticks, through the yearbook signatures that made you smile, through the final bell that echoed louder than any other. Now, it's quiet, but it's a good kind of quiet. There's a breeze drifting in through the screen window. It smells like freshly cut grass and the faintest trace of a neighbor's charcoal grill. Somewhere off in the distance, you can hear a dog bark A bike bell rings. The world keeps humming in that soft, familiar way only summer knows how. You're tucked in now, maybe in your old bed from years ago, or maybe just curled into the memory of it, that twin-sized mattress with cartoon sheets, a fan in the corner, humming gently like a lullaby. The lights are low, the night is kind, and all the rush, all the noise from the past months has faded into something far away. You can still hear the echo of kids running out of school, their shoes slapping the tile, laughter spilling into the hallways like confetti. You can hear the fizz of soda being cracked open, the hiss of sprinklers watering front lawns, the distant jingle of an ice cream truck that may or may not come back around. Your eyes are growing heavier now, and your mind, still playing scenes from the last few days, that sleepover laughter, that game of tag at dusk, that quiet moment with your best friend sitting on the curb, both of you wondering what middle school might feel like. But you're not there yet. Right now, you're still in the soft space between kid and teenager, between the final bell and the first real summer night. Maybe tomorrow you'll go to the pool or sit outside with a freezy melting down your wrist. Maybe you'll bike past that one house with the giant boombox speakers in the garage, hoping someone's blasting TLC or Coolio again, but not tonight. Tonight, you don't need to make any choices. You don't need to figure anything out. All you have to do is rest. Let your body sink into the bed. Let your breath slow. Let your mind wander to a time when the only thing on your to-do list was nothing. Maybe your room still has posters on the wall. The Fresh Prince, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, maybe a cutout from Teen Beat or Bop. Maybe your Game Boys on the nightstand, blinking a soft red light that says good night. Or maybe your cassette player is gently playing Kiss Me by Sixpence, None the Richer, or As Long as You Love Me by the Backstreet Boys. You're safe here, you're home, and summer is just beginning. So close your eyes, breathe deep, let your thoughts float like dandelion seeds. Because tomorrow, and the many golden days after it, will be waiting. But for now, you can just be. You've earned this stillness. You've earned this peace. And as the soft hum of the fan continues, as the night wraps around you like your favorite old blanket, you drift, slowly, gently, into the best kind of sleep, the kind that feels like the first day of summer vacation, the kind that tastes like creamsicles, the kind that remembers what it's like to be young and weightless and full of wonder. Good night.